We use, for example, SurveyMonkey. Does anyone use SurveyMonkey? You have. How have you used it?
I've used it to actually use it on behalf of clients to do research for them.
Yes. Okay, so what sort of research have you done?
Fairly sort of simple stuff. In this case, it was on usage of markets.
Okay.
It worked pretty well.
Okay. How many results did you have?
We got about a year ago. We've got a good response.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And the other way I've used it as well is actually just for creating simple surveys as well, then to take out into the street to overlap against the work that we did online.
Yes. Cool. Excellent. Do you do any sort of customer surveys? How many customers do you have?
About 5,000.
So a few then.
Existing, yeah.
Yeah.
We've got.
How happy are they?
On the whole, pretty happy. I mean, it's quite an easy sort of, we're getting money back for it.
Yeah, yeah. How do you know?
How do we know?
Yeah.
Based on owner complaints.
Okay.
Being
So if they don't complain, they're happy.
kind of.
Yeah, but if they are unhappy, most people are motivated to complain on that. It gives you huge energy. Okay, so it's interesting. I just think that if you know intuitively, then you don't really know. So one of the first things that we do with customers, if we take a customer on one-to-one, if they outsource their stuff to us, one of the first things we'll do is customer satisfaction. And what we've got is a survey that we send to their customers that really talks about why they decided to use them, how they found them, which products they've used, which challenges they're facing, which products they could use again in the future. And it's interesting because that always generates leads, because your customers know you and trust you and are happy with the service. So if you could be offering them something else, then they would be happy to do it. Does that make sense?
The other thing I'd say to that is actually people do forget you.
Yeah.
I don't think in a malicious way. I was kind of walking into the IOD and the guy was coming out. So you're a guy, and he wanted something done that we do, a newsletter written. And he just forgot about us. Just because he's a busy guy and seen me for a couple of years. And
Of course, yeah.
And why should you remember us?
And there are thousands of messages landing on people all day, every day. So if you go back and offer them a survey, 3-4 years ago, it was like survey hell. Every 20 minutes a survey would be dropping into your inbox, but that's past now. So if you can go back to people with a really strong message like, we're really interested in you and what you think about us. That's a good message, isn't it? Not we want to flog you something, not we want referrals from you, not, be doing business with us again, but we are interested in you and what you think. And that's always a fantastic message to go back with. So one of the things we do is we have a question which is, now customer analysis is interesting because you'll have, that's kind of the opposite of this. So you can do customer analysis, you can look at your systems and see what's come in, what you think you've sold people, but this is customer perspective. So one of the questions that we always ask is, which products and services have you used? And then we give them a list of all of the products and services that we have available. So they read that entire list and they tick the ones that are relevant. So later on, when we have a question, which products and services could you use in the future, they read that same list again, they tick different things. And those are leads. So that's always a really valuable thing to do. And yeah, so would you refer us? Do you think enough of our service to refer us? That's great. Who do you know? So if one of your objectives is to know about your market, know about your customers hold the key to why it is that they used you and why it is that the next raft of people would use you as well. Does that make sense? Am I the most excited about this? I'm excited about it, more excited than anyone else. We also used it in a marketing pretext. So we were working with a training company not too far away from here, and it was dead. Everyone knows that the training market is dead. So we got hold of a database of training specifiers, so people in businesses who decide where training happens and what training is required. And we just sent them a survey, which is basically let us know what's going on in the market. And what we'll do is we'll give you a 3 days training, because no one ever spends training money on you. And then what happens is we had 110 something responses, and then for 11 days in the summer we had 10 training specifiers in getting experience of the training that they provide. So it's a really good way of doing that. And nobody knows what's going on. That's the beautiful thing about the current economic climate, is that nobody actually really knows what's going on. So if you can say, we surveyed 5,000 business contractors, this is the state of the market, that becomes really valuable stuff in terms of PR.
Yeah.
You could get the local news channels talking about you and the research that you've done. So if you're plugged into a market in that way, nobody knows what's going on at the moment. Nobody knows. So SurveyMonkey is really useful. YouTube. Why would you want to be investing your time and energy in being on YouTube? There's one answer.
Millions, thousands of people,
Millions and thousands of people.
can see you.
Yeah. Why can they see you?
Because it's a very direct message. It's very
Yeah.
visual. It's
You're so close to the actual answer. Am I making you work too hard because there's only 4 of you? Are you feeling like you're working?
it's fun. It's good.
It's good. Why are there so many thousands of people looking at YouTube?
It's voyeuristic.
It's voyeuristic, yeah, it's not the right answer. YouTube is the second largest search engine, so behind Google. So people are using YouTube to look for stuff. They want to be receiving information in the format that they want it, which is video. So it's incredible. And YouTube now has its own Google keyword search. So you can go in and see which videos people are searching for. And like we were saying before, sales and marketing is really easy. Just give people what they want. So if you've got content around the thing that they're precisely looking for, then that will really work. And some of the ways that we use it to host our videos that we shoot. But customer testimonials, I don't know how many different videos we've got now. We might even have 100 customer testimonials from these events, from people we work one-to-one with, from people that we've even done just free consultations with. So you will find on YouTube people talking, like actual people talking about the service that they receive from us, which is just a peach, because people don't bother talking to their customers at all. But when you stand a video in front of someone and get them to talk about you, they only really say nice things. It's phenomenal. And sometimes they say really, really useful things. Like one of my customers said, working with effective marketing has certainly been effective for us. That's lovely, isn't it? I could have paid a copywriter a lot of money to come up with that. But I didn't have to because I asked my customer to meet it. Okay, cool. So, Twitter. We use Twitter. I've got 32,000 followers. For me, Twitter is about birdseed. Twitter is not, I think, the animal that it was a year ago, where it had huge amounts of followings, but the people who are still using Twitter are probably the most influential people, the people who are interested in investing in having networks online. So if you can get these people along to your website and you can get them referring you, then that's a great way of generating traffic. So it's birdseed for me, is Twitter. Facebook is phenomenal. How many people are on Facebook in the world? Easy to solve. 633 million. That's close enough. So every man and their dog is there, so you should also be there. Basecamp is interesting. There's 50 of you in your business. Do you have projects, collaborative projects that a number of people are working on?
Not really.
Not really.
So
50 people all doing their own thing.
Well, it's sort of, you've got departments of sort of the sales team, you've got a processing team, you've got an admin team.
Yeah.
And sometimes it will stretch sort of the team leads across each of those areas.
Okay. Well, Basecamp's a lovely little tool. It's like a project management thing. It's like shared to-do lists. So you can have your team, you can come up with things that people need to do, fires them off an email saying that they need to do it, fires you an email when it's been done, or when you miss a deadline, all that sort of stuff. And Basecamp's a really, really cool tool. Has anyone seen SlideShare? No? SlideShare is a phenomenal tool. So if you end up positioning yourself as an expert and people come to you and say, yeah, I want you to come and talk to these people, then you just say whatever the subject is, you just say, yeah, I can talk about that. And you go to SlideShare and you'll find thousands and thousands and thousands of PowerPoint slides that people have put together around every conceivable subject. So that's a phenomenal tool. Google Docs and Spreadsheets obviously is about sharing documents. LinkedIn is phenomenal. We're going to talk about LinkedIn and Google Alerts. And there's something we didn't have here, is reputation management. Does anyone know what reputation management is?
I'm assuming it's sort of
Managing your reputation. Well done. Do you know what? Give yourself a try. It's about managing your reputation. So in 2011, you can't stop people talking about you. the best thing you can do really is know what they're saying. So if something's going down the track, that's not very good, especially if you're clients.
So I guess a good example of that would be something similar as TripAdvisor, where a restaurant gets a shit review,
Yeah,
and then you get an opportunity as a management to respond.
yes,
Sometimes the criticisms the review's fair, and actually sometimes it's unfair.
yes,
And we've worked with restaurants in that context.
yeah. So it's interesting, if people are saying bad things about you, you want to know, but you also want to know if people are saying good things about you.
Yeah.
So you just want to know what's going on with your reputation. So if you go to Google Alerts, this would be a good thing to do if you want to write this down. Go to Google Alerts, put in your keywords, which might be your company name, your products names, your competitors' names. Then Google will just send you a little email digest every day saying this is where you've been mentioned all over the web. All over the web.
We do have a media collection.
Yes.
Google Alerts.
You do. You use it and it works.
Broadly, yes.
Broadly, it
It's
works.
not as good as Cutting's agency, but lots of people don't want to pay for Cutting's agency.
Exactly, yeah. What's the point that I wanted to make? Oh, yeah, if it's a generic term that you're putting in, like I had a Keith Fowler who used to work for me, and he used to be playing golf all over the place. Or so it's informing me, even when he was sitting in front of me all day. But it turns out there was another Keith Fowler who was a semi-professional golfer. You just need to be careful about generics and those kinds of things. So, those are the 9 tools that we use, but it sounds to me that you probably don't need to use Basecamp. Google Docs and spreadsheets you don't necessarily need to use, but SlideShare, I think the 3 top ones are, probably the 4 top ones are, no surprises, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. So that's what we're going to look at after the break, how to get the very best value out of those 3 tools. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.